I get really excited about NFT projects that are gamified. The idea that you don't need to then sell your NFT to make money by selling it to someone else at a profit. The idea that you can actually kind of end up going into some kind of lottery or a game and then winning that way, because it then puts value into the NFT to then win something greater than the speculation of then selling it to someone else. Now, Evolution playing cards, Trophy Hunters. This came across my radar and I got instant vibes of Internet Game. Now, if you're around a few months ago, you may have kind of come across Internet Game and the idea that it was like 5 games, kind of like Squid Game, but with NFTs. And the idea is that there was a huge prize pool. Now, what the team from Trophy Hunters is trying to do is actually do something similar, but different in a sense. And they've got some great explainer videos and concepts. The idea is that there's going to be some rewards, 20 ETH, 5 ETH, 10 ETH, and then a whole bunch of different rewards for different people. Now, what's cool about this is that unlike something like Internet Game, you're not minting an NFT and it's only useful for that one particular game. What they're actually doing is they're actually kind of minting playing cards. Now, the idea is that you can see these playing cards here. You're minting playing cards. You can then swap, trade, then you get combinations of those cards, and then the people that end up getting the top sort of stats, they then end up winning that sort of prize. Now, the idea is this is great because even though you do need 4 to kind of play, the idea that this is great for people that kind of want to buy one and speculate that they're going to pull something that someone else needs, because if someone needs your exact card to kind of complete that set, they're going to pay whatever they can to then make that 20 ETH bag. Now, one thing when I actually spoke to the team about this is that they're doing all of this on chain. So it's not like you're going to kind of get this together and the team sits back and goes, yeah, Nate actually got it, so we're going to give him the 20 ETH and then manually transfer it. The idea is that all of these combos and stuff are going to be done verified on chain so they can see that it is real and authentic, so no one can game the system, not even the team. And I think this is smart because this is the way it should be. It should be done transparently, and it should be done in a way that makes it easy for people to kind of actually trust in the game, because that is what makes lotteries in the Web 2 sense sort of fair. People want to go somewhere and know that they have a fair shot at winning that $1 million or $20 million when it comes down to like a lottery. So I think that's cool. Now, the other aspect that I really want to touch on when it comes down to what they're actually kind of putting in place is the fact that it's not just these great rewards. You're not just minting cards that will then kind of be used for this one game. The idea is that further on down the line, these will be cards that you have in your arsenal. So the idea is that with something like Internet Game, you kind of minted a token to then play the game. The idea is that you will then have these cards for future games. So the idea is that once you've got a set, you then have the ability to kind of have a really great set, which means that you can then collect them after the game. So they have value after the game, and it's not contingent on the next kind of having a token to have access to play the next game. The idea is like now you've got something good, which means that you can then ride the hype of people selling off their cards after they've kind of lost, which means you could then start scooping up and get a very good selection of cards for the next games that are going to then kind of play on afterwards. Now, one thing that I wanted to touch on when I spoke to the founder was the fact that I kind of asked, it makes sense the first, you're raising a bunch of money to then go into the pot to play the first time, but I was like, how do you kind of structure it later on down the line, because you're not going to be minting additional cards. The idea is that all the cards are going to be minted in that first kind of run, and then they will be used for future games. And what he said is he said that there will just be an entry fee later on, be it at a 0.02 or something like that later on down the line. And I like this approach because it's the idea that you're not essentially kind of diluting what the cards are and the value that these NFTs have. You're able to kind of go, hey, you've got some cards, if you want to play, you can play. So people are able to kind of build up and stack their decks as you would with any other kind of card game, then go into a game knowing that they've got a very good combination and a very good way to kind of play and sort of win. So I think this is a very good take and a very interesting way to kind of play this, because it means that if you want to be playing in the first season, you can play in the first season, but you could buy one card, not play in that game, and still have that speculative nature, knowing that you may have something that someone else wants and then list it for quite high, and then hopefully you might snag something, because someone will pay 1 ETH for one of your cards if they're looking down the barrel of grabbing a 20 ETH bag. So there's things like that that come into play, which is quite interesting. Now, what I want to touch on is the supply and price of the project. So when it comes down to the mint price and supply, it's going to be 5,715 and the mint price is 0.09 ETH each. Now this, in terms of fiat value, it's not that bad, but the idea is you're going to be spending a sort of 0.09, multiply that by 4 to at least get into the game. So it is going to be someone that needs to have a little bit of liquidity when it comes down to actually kind of playing the game and giving it a bit of a go. But they do have some hefty prizes, and they have 200 ETH worth of prizes to kind of give away. So it isn't just a winner takes all. There is a tiered sort of section of how the winners will actually be awarded. Now, when I actually spoke to the team, I kind of grilled them on these questions, and then I also wanted to kind of get a demo so people could kind of see what it looks like, so you can kind of like that they could show that they're actually working behind the scenes on it. So they sent me this demo video. Now, to kind of bump through this really quick, the idea is that you've got so you will mint your cards. This is your inventory, so you can kind of see the cards that you've got kind of stashed up, but they also have their own marketplace, so it's easy to kind of find the cards that are actually kind of on there and out there. You can see your cards here and all the traits and stats that it has. You're then able to kind of stack a deck that you want, and you can kind of go through here. So when you are stacking a deck, it is very easy. So you can kind of go, hey, what one actually does fit into it? So you can see here, choosing a spade, and then you've only got the spade. Then what you can do is you can mint your combination. Now, by minting the combination, you're able to kind of essentially go, hey, here is my group of cards that I'm kind of going to be playing with and moving into this kind of game with, which is interesting because it's just a way to kind of capture it together to have your different combinations. And then when you have a look at the marketplace here, you can see that you can go through. So when you are looking for particular cards within this sort of match and base, you can buy combinations, you can buy these cards. So it is kind of interesting the way they've kind of set this up with their own marketplace, because it does make it easy to navigate. So you don't have to jump on something like OpenSea, looks rare, things like that. And then you've also got some cool other little pieces here and there. So the idea with this is it's meant to be a sort of an NFT game where you kind of playing for prizes, but in the longer term, you're going to then mint some cards. You're then going to be able to kind of buy, swap, trade, and then also put it together to make your combinations. But then after that season's gone, you can then jump in, scoop up some really good ones, then play again. Now you can kind of see here the fact that it's going to be a very interesting kind of run of cards that they're actually kind of doing. And the idea is that you could pull an ace, and then you will be holding on to something that's very good, something that someone really needs. And the idea here is that it's not just for those that have a bunch of liquidity ready to play this game, but it's situated in a way that speculators can come in as well. Now, what they're also doing is they're only allowing 2 sort of mints per person. So there is going to be this active trade. So you're either going to have multiple wallets set up to kind of mint if you do want to kind of game the system that way, or you're just going to have to buy and then buy some others of other people. So it's going to start to drive this frenzy of royalties and the secondary sales. Now, when I spoke to the team, the guy, super smart, he understood the nature of what internet game was and how he could kind of make things a little bit different and sort of play around with things to kind of gamify the system a little bit more. And this is where this concept came up. The idea that you can then mint some cards, and it means that the team can then change the games that are played, and you're able to kind of mint different combinations, different variations. If they want to do things later on, you could mint a die. You could mint other aspects of what you could consider different casino type games, but the idea is you're minting those cards, you've got them, and then you're able to play with them in the future down the line. And I think this concept is quite novel, and I think it will kind of take off, because internet game was fun to kind of watch and keep up with and look at what other people were doing. And I think this is also another way to move forward. The idea that someone can buy into an ecosystem, and if you do want to take a risk on buying a set of cards, even if you don't have a complete set, but you speculate that this is going to be a very popular game in the future, you are able to speculate in different ways. The idea knowing that if you can load up on some aces or some kings, you can then have those for the future later, but there is also going to be other traits involved. Now, when it comes down to the games themselves, they're going to be releasing more details on the games, the combinations, and how things all work later. But I wanted to bring this to you because it's just these novel concepts, these ideas that I think are what makes the bear market interesting, a little bit kind of fun to kind of go with, because at the moment, it's very hard for you to buy into a project going, hey, will there be demand for someone to kind of buy the NFT that I've bought at a profit later? And by this, you're able to kind of actually have that roadmap laid out where you're like, okay, if I buy this and I kind of hold this combination, I can actually play a game to then win my money back or win a little bit more. And the idea is that it then starts to be a little bit more fun when it comes down to what you can actually do, because it's not the speculation of trying to make a 28th flip. The idea is you're playing to make that 28th, but you end up coming third and you end up making 5/8 anyway. So it's not too bad of a deal when it comes down to that. Now, saying that, this is not financial advice. You got to do your own research. This will be a capital intensive kind of play. The fact is you're going to need a good ETH to kind of run this out and get a whole bunch of variations of cards to actually have a good run at it. That's the way that I kind of see this, because there will be some people that will want to kind of hold an ace or someone and jack that up to a 3 or 4 ETH floor, and your best option is to kind of just throw as much capital as possible to kind of get in there. So I think this is well worth looking at. The team have been working, they've got these demos in place, and I think it is quite fitting, and it fits in real well with the sentiment of the market currently and how things are kind of working. So hopefully you found value in this video. If you did, please consider hitting up that subscribe button. While you're down there, also hit up the like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.